So, bit of excitement in real estate there for you, Mum. Okay.
I'm glad.
Okay, so tell me about Grandpa's, well, whatever you want to call him, my grandfather's rowing and swimming career.
Oh, well, I don't know anything about the rowing because it all happened when he was young.
So you don't know any history
No,
or
he
victories
used-
or losses or anything?
He used to row for Mosman, which is a beach suburb in Sydney.
So he was living in Sydney?
Mm.
I didn't know that. He was rowing for Moslem. Whereabouts was he? Did you know where? So he was from South Australia, right?
Yes.
Adelaide?
Yes.
At what stage would he have moved to Sydney?
Oh, I don't know, Jim.
Was he
after the
brought
war-
up there as a boy?
Well,
Where was he brought up?
oh, in Adelaide.
Okay, so
He's in Adelaide.
okay.
But he, at one stage, and I don't know when, he's worked in a country New South Wales.
As a what?
I think as an agent. I think I've known and I've forgotten. You might have to ask me another time and it might have come back to me. But he was working in. The only reason I remember this is that just a couple of stories that he had told me. One was about being in the country and a place in a country town near where he was working was big enough to have weekly dances and that where he used to go. But his mother must have been living. He was living with his mother, but must have been near where he was working.
So where was his father?
His father died a long time. I don't know.
So what was his father's story?
He died a long time ago. Before my time. I've only known Granny as a widow. But I've got an idea that his father had an accident and fell, or he died of a brain tumour, but something to do with his head anyway.
And that was in Adelaide?
That would have been in Adelaide.
Right. And you don't know what his profession or his career or his money making was?
No, but Adelaide was pretty small then. I think almost anything you chose.
Do you know what his first name was?
Thomas.
Okay, so it's Thomas Smith.
Thomas Ladyman Smith.
Thomas Ladyman Smith, okay.
Funny name.
Hmm.
So I don't even know where the name Vinton comes from,
Right.
other than because I've asked Mum, and we came to the conclusion it was a family friend, and perhaps a family friend's name, because we don't know the name Vinton. You know, like you'll hear other people. We've been muddled up in the past because they lived not far from us, and people got muddled up. Linton Smiths. And quite often on the phone, we answered the phone and it was Linton Smith.
Right,
they weren't
right.
not Linton.
Okay.
So
Okay, so anyway, your father ends up in Sydney, so he must have been living up Mossman Way. Any idea?
just with a little thing, I'm also in a little scratch. I don't know what it was in there. Because the war comes into this somewhere. My mother didn't meet him till after the war, and she was nursing in a hospital in Sydney, near the Long Bay Jail.
No, that's it. Sit up. That's right. So the camera can see you, Mum. That's all. Keep going.
Sorry,
That's all right.
she down there. No, she was. The hospital that she nursed in is well known now, and it's got a different name. But I've met someone who's worked in it and knew that it had the name when my mother knew. And that I can probably recall, but not today. I'll have
That's
to
right.
have to wait till it comes.
Okay, so, and what was so your father's working now in Sydney, to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Was he in broking shares at that stage?
No. I think he worked. You're a stockbroker. I think in some sort of broking, but not stockbroking. That came later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. It mightn't have come until he got married. That one.
And so where would your mother and Vinton met? What town, you know?
Oh, in Sydney.
Okay, so your mum's come out from England
Yes.
as an unaccompanied minor.
Yes. She was this. She was coming out, I think, when she was about 17, something like that. I'm not sure.
But just with a sister.
But she was come out to be adopted by her, must have been her mother's brother, whose name was Virgo. On the way out, William Virgo died. So when Mum arrived out here, there was only his widow to meet her. Florence, only we never called her that. She was always known as Auntie Sis.
So why was your mum being adopted out to Australia?
Because her mother had died when she was 8, and Mum was the eldest of 5 children. I think one of the 5 children was a baby and was adopted by a woman who nursed him as a baby. The other 2 boys were kept with their father. Mum went with their grandmother, and Auntie Wynne went to assist, an aunt, the grandmother's daughter.
So your mum came out by herself?
Yes,
Okay, so Winnie was still back in England?
yes, she
Okay.
didn't come out. Well, I was a little girl
Righto.
when she came.
Okay. So your mum comes out to Melbourne or Sydney?
To Adelaide.
Oh, to Adelaide. Okay.
Well, that's where Auntie Sis was living there. But I think Mum was going to come out and live with Auntie Sis's husband and herself. But he died when Mum was on the way out. And I think Auntie Sis probably came from Sydney, and so when Mum arrived, she went back to Sydney because I don't think she had a big enough place or had enough money to live in Adelaide. She didn't have that much money anyway. That's why Mum started nursing, not because Mum wanted to be a nurse. Mum had said one time if she'd had her way and could have done it, she just wanted to go into an office, and she would love to have been a girl working in an office. One of the things she had was an ability to remember telephone numbers. She hardly ever had to look up a telephone number once she knew it. So I think she had the ability to do office work. But because she had to find somewhere to live, and nurses lived in those days.
Sorry. Hello, Jim Stephen. Good, thanks, Morel. Yes? Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Morel. Bye. Sorry about that. Okay,
So she had,
and this is in Adelaide. You're thinking?
no, well, by this time they're in Sydney because she
Oh,
did,
that's right.
she did her
Yeah,
nursing
her
in
aunt
Sydney.
moved. Okay, righto.
But
You don't know whereabouts in Sydney?
Yes, it's a hospital still going, but under a different name.
Okay, that doesn't matter. That's not relevant. So she's up in Sydney, and that's where she meets. So, and then the war has already been. Okay.
Oh, yes.
The war's been. So she's up in Sydney, and that's where she runs into Vinton.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I've ever been told how they met. But she was someone who, I think when she wasn't at work, the things she did a lot of going to dances, because I remember one time she telling me, I can't remember the story other than that she wanted to go to a particular dance and Auntie Sis said, no, why not? Because you've been out to a dance every night this week. You're not going out 6 nights a week. Well, that's not unusual.
No, that's a good call. A good call, you know, you've been enough, yeah. Fair
So
enough.
she, that's it.
So she was a good time girl.
Well, she was very, very pretty.
Hmm.
Like my godmother, you never met her, I wear that on my engagement ring because my engagement ring is broken, but my godmother gave me that ring. My godmother used to tell me if I grew up half as pretty as my mother was, you'd be lucky. So I don't think I've grown up half as pretty as my mother, so I'm not lucky.
Oh no, but you've got a good man as a husband, so you can't be all bad, mum.
True. Yes, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I think really she was comparing face and face.
Yes, there's quite a similar facial structure there.
Is it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Well, I don't think I get a mixture from people of that age group, very like your father, or very like your father's family, or very like your mother. So I must be a mixture, I think. I don't know.
As we are.
Hmm?
As we are. Okay, so they meet, and where do they get married? In which town?
Oh, in Sydney.
Oh, they got married. Okay.
Yes, it's a very old church in city central.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've been to have a look at it. It's not outstanding architecturally, but it's a very nice old church to go and see.
And would they have ever owned property there, or rented, or any idea?
No, because when they first married, they lived in a flat in St Kilda. But that first, yes, and I never lived in that house in St Kilda, that flat in St Kilda. I lived in that first house they bought, which was 8 Heatherly Place, East Malvern. Little Heatherly Place was a little street, 4 houses, and the back of someone else's house. It was just Heatherly Place. We were 8 Heatherly Place. And they had lived in a flat in St Kilda for a little while after they were married, before they bought the house in Heatherly Place, and maybe it was only just off the builder, out of the builder's hand when they bought it.
So, and was he already selling stocks and shares at that stage, or was
He wasn't a stockbroker, but he was
in the office?
In a broker's office.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And I'm not sure
a dealer of some description, or whatever
Yes,
they did back then.
it may have just been land. But anyway, that type of office he was in. He obviously was someone who could always
Yes.
figures in his head, and he was always successful. He was a very outgoing person. You don't become a member of Parliament in your early 30s unless you're outgoing, that sort of thing.
So big entertainers? Big entertainers?
At home,
Yeah.
people in for dinner, and his birthday, the 3rd of November, was always very close to Melbourne Cup Day, and over the years, not every year, but just over the years, I remember Mum often ran quite a big cocktail party, and this would be after he'd become a Member of Parliament, which meant he was known by a lot of people. She'd have a cocktail party, usually Caulfield Cup Day, or maybe the week before Caulfield Guineas Day. People who'd be at the Caulfield Racecourse wouldn't be very far from us. Even if they'd gone on public transport, they could have walked down to us. So if they were going to do anything big, it was usually around about November the 3rd. Mum's birthday's close to mine, it's the 30th of September. I don't remember them ever doing anything special for that.
Oh, he's outside. Mum, my lift has just arrived.
Ah, you've got some
So we're going to stop now, but I'll carry on the next time I come up.
continued in our next.
Exactly right.
Where are you off